just being around there, talking to these players, certainly important messages they're passing across.
Well, you talk of important personalities, but I look at them as icons. When you say a guy like Samuel Eto'o, you say a guy like Roger Milla. Those are icons in the sphere of world football, not just Cameroonian or African. I mean, global football. Now,
what do you think it really means for these players, especially the
when
youngsters?
You come back, it can only be a way, not only motivation, but psychologically, mentally, it's a way to say we are with you. That psychological part on the back is very important. From time to time, when was the last time you saw the minister go out, to encourage the Lions? So this is the type of images that we want to see, because it tells you that our sports movement, collectively, us as Cameroonians, we are behind the Lions. And then we see a guy like Roger Milla coming there. This is somebody who has a lot of experience to transmit to those children. These kids are almost his grandchildren. And he has accomplished a lot with the national team. And he's the idol of some of those players. So for them to see him there is a very good motivation. It's a very good opportunity for them to learn, and also be prepared tomorrow. And, least but not last, I saw the governor there. It's a very also good, important thing that the governor came out. Because remember, Japoma, to mobilize people to go and support the Lions is very important for the governor to coordinate that. Now, more to that fact, I saw also a very young man by name Mr. Eyum, that is the director of the Japoma Stadium. I saw him out there. It tells you that Onyes, is also doing a good job in terms of maintaining those facilities and making the pitches look good, so that the sports movement, the Lions, can have a very good game tomorrow. So coming back to your question again, I want to emphasize on one thing. It's very, very important for us to always show support for our athletes, be it the national team, be it the football national team, be it the basket, be it the volleyball national team. It's very, very important to encourage those children, to tell them, look, the nation is with you, the country is with you. We here, to accompany you and to support you. Go out there tomorrow, get another victory for us. We are with you. I think that's all what it meant.
Ce qui est important également, parce que la question est bien posée, c'est démontrer davantage l'importance de la sélection nationale, ce que la sélection nationale représente pour le Cameroun. C'est pour ça que l'État se manifeste pour davantage, comme le disait le président Nyassa Soleil, qui vous salue d'ailleurs, que lorsque vous êtes en sélection nationale, vous êtes comme un militaire qui va au front. Et quand vous êtes un militaire qui va au front, vous êtes accompagné par l'État camerounais. Donc, ce n'était pas à dessein, je voulais dire, c'est plutôt à dessein que le ministre et, comme le disait Junior, le gouverneur de la région du littoral, qui manifestement est devenu un acteur majeur dans les préparatifs des moments des Lions indomptables. Donc, c'était important de le rappeler à nos téléspectateurs. L'État du Cameroun veut démontrer à travers cette image que l'équipe nationale du Cameroun représente beaucoup pour le peuple camerounais.
So Cameroon versus Mauritius. A reminder is at 8 p.m. tomorrow at the Douala Japoma Stadium. It's the first engagement of the Indomitable Lions in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. It's also the first for Mauritius in Group D. Let's keep you up to speed with some of the matches playing across Africa. About 7 of them they've rounded off. So Egypt just thumped Djibouti. That's a 6-0 with Mohamed Salah scoring 4 goals. So they have taken the lead in Group A. Algeria, who were in the last World Cup, they just defeated Somalia. That's in Group G at 3-1. Gabon came back from behind to defeat Kenya. That's a 2-1. That's in Group F. So they've taken the lead there, while Sudan and Togo separated 1-1. Nigeria, they missed the previous World Cup, so they were held down by Lesotho. That's 1-1 in Group C. Quite interesting there for the Super Falcons, or the Super Eagles of Nigeria, rather. Held by Lesotho. That's 1-1. That's the unpredictability of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, guys.
When you're talking about the progression of the nations, look, Nigeria
held by Lesotho 1. Let's continue to look at the other results. So Botswana lost to Mozambique. That's a 3-2. That's in Group G. And Burundi defeated the Gambia. That's a 3-2 today. Quite interesting there, Group F. So just to let you know that there are 9 groups of 6 teams in the African qualifiers of the 2026 World Cup to take place in Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And the winners of each of the 9 groups will qualify automatically for the finals in 2026. Meanwhile, there will be a possibility of Africa having a place that will be in the Intercontinental World Cup qualifiers that will come up later. But we are not wishing that for Cameroon. Are we in Group D? We need to get automatic passage in this Group D, where we have Angola, Cape Verde, Eswatini, Libya, Mauritius, and it starts tomorrow. At any moment from now, we'll be heading back to the Douala Japoma Stadium to get the pre-match presser of Mauritius. We're expecting Coach Fidi Raso-Naivo to get there to talk to the Cameroonian and international press about their game tomorrow. Well, guys, we just heard of the shocking result coming in from the Nigeria-Lesotho game in Group C. The Super Eagles dropping 2 points from their first game. Now, if you look at Group C, Lesotho, Nigeria, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, Benin, South Africa. We cannot write off any team in this group, guys.
I mean, that's one of the most difficult groups. You know, that group you just talked about is one of the most difficult groups. And I'm happy Nigeria did not come out with a loss, because evidently a team like Lesotho is not a team to reckon with. And, you know, getting into the competition, it's a sight, it's a mental, and you have to break that ice. And breaking that ice, that lesson that we've been learned. And I think both Lesotho and Nigeria, they're going home today with a lot of lessons being learned. But at the same time, it's going to cause the other teams in the group to adjust. Yeah. Because I'm very much certain that they were watching this team play, and they know that those are their next opponents. So evidently for Nigeria, definitely they're going to go back on the drawing board to see how to assess their next game. For Lesotho, it's a motivation for them to see how far they can go. So I would say kudos to Lesotho for picking up that point against Nigeria.
Je crois que ça sera très difficile, hein, parce que le résultat de ce match Nigeria-Lesotho, les cartes peuvent être redistribuées. Comme le disait Junior, le Nigeria va maintenant faire très attention. Et les autres vont se dire, mais si le Lesotho a pu imposer le nul au Nigeria, nous allons travailler davantage. Donc, c'est une compétition finalement qui va relancer tout le monde. Les cartes sont redistribuées. Il va falloir faire très attention parce que le Nigeria, depuis un certain temps, voyez-vous, la Coupe du Monde dernière, c'est le Ghana qui élimine le Nigeria à domicile. C'est dit que le Nigeria a encore du chemin à faire, même si c'est une grosse légume. Mais il faudra faire très attention.
Yeah, FIFA will always talk about the growth of African football. In the previous World Cups, we've been having 5 teams representing Africa. This time, 4 additional teams added. We thought it would have been easier for teams who did not make it to Qatar 2022, like Nigeria, like Algeria, to have it easy this time around. But it looks like it's not getting easy. They are increasing the number of places for Africa, and it's getting competitive. What does it say in the game Cameroon versus Mauritius tomorrow? We really have to be careful.
No, it tells you that football is a catalyzer. The moment you think, you know, you're creating opportunities for others, and the other one that are continuing bottom team, development teams, is an opportunity for them. Because you will not see teams like Ivory Coast, Ghana, the usuals, Algeria, Egypt, you know. This time they have to earn it. And it's going to be extremely difficult. It's not going to be easy. It's not a far-fetched gain for them. They have to work for it. That is why that championship, despite the fact that we have 9 teams that have to qualify, it's not easy for any of those teams. When you look at the game, Lesotho against Nigeria, Lesotho picking up a point on Nigeria, 1-1. It tells you that those teams are very determined. What is their motivation? They've increased the team, now we have the chance. It's not more 5 teams from Africa. Now it's 9. We can be one of those 9 teams. It shouldn't be only Nigeria, it shouldn't be only Morocco, it shouldn't only be Tunisia, it shouldn't be only Cameroon. We will have surprises. I can guarantee you we're going to have surprises. And the group of Nigeria is one of the most difficult groups. But as far as coming back to your question, as far as Cameroon is concerned, we have to do everything possible not to fall in that bracket. We beat Mauritius tomorrow. We beat Libya. We take a comfortable lead. And we make a very strong statement that we are coming for the World Cup. And at the same time, the strategies that Rigo Besson is as a coach, evidently I know that this is going to be very good for him because it will give him a clear vision, a clear assessment of the players that he has and the ones that he wants to select for the African Nations Cup. So it's a very good thing for him.
Things getting tough in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. But Rigobert Song Bahanak, the coach of Cameroon, increasingly confident this time around, saying that we're going to have free-flowing football. Those goals will come in. He's very confident. What kind of final third, the attackers, can we have tomorrow? Mumbanya, Brian Mbeumo, Georges Koudou, Karl Toko. How can the setup look like tomorrow?
Ben, c'est vrai que vous souhaitez que je devienne Rigobert Song un jour, et merci. Mais je crois quand même que c'est une attaque qui sera, j'allais dire, beaucoup plus entreprenante et réaliste. Certainement, à partir des entraînements, ils ont dû avoir tous les éléments qui ont permis de savoir qui, à ce moment, est prêt. Parce que vous pouvez avoir un garçon qui, juste à la fin du match, manque beaucoup de choses, mais là que vous avez soit Brian, que ce soit Brian, que ce soit... Je crois que tous ces gars sont prêts à agir. Un garçon comme Brian n'accepteront pas ce qui leur échappe. Il faut marquer. Ce sera que pour toute l'équipe, les garçons comme Brian, tu prendras personne, les garçons comme Cameroun, tu prendras personne. C'est lorsque les garçons comme Agri ou le Mumbayan, c'est eux qui seront plutôt surpris. Donc, je pense que Junior disait en début d'émission, on a des attaques offensifs. Ce sera malheureux de voir cette équipe Cameroun ne pas carte demain parce que le français dont du Cameroun, le plan offensif est énorme. Tous les garçons de la ligne offensive sont capables de faire la différence. Maintenant, c'est dans l'organisation où est-ce qu'on va les faire qui marquent des buts, qui fassent beaucoup de buts. Parce que si ces personnes ne sont pas régulièrement devant le but de Maurice, ça sera difficile qui marque. Dans l'animation de Cameroun, il va falloir qu'on trouve permanent avec 6 joueurs camerounais, que ce soit les défenseurs, que ce soit les vétérans ou les autres. Le plus important, c'est d'avoir les joueurs camerounais régulièrement dans les buts de l'île Maurice pour rapidement marquer des buts. Mais le potentiel lié à Hugo et son staff pouvoir mettre une animation qui va permettre de retrouver tout ce qu'ils vont marquer ou là des passes de
Daniel, I like what you're saying, except the fact that they don't not talk enough the fact that our line have been rejuvenated. We have guys extremely young, agile, guys like Frank. I'm talking about Kudu. I'm talking about Bemi. Yes, and that even but started. If I coach song start to go with the definitely a guy from a Muba and Kudu and of the guys in second because I very much said that guys they can ability, goodness, and be able to control the game, give a order with. And do you do second half? You can bring in a Brian or a Tok, a Kwambi, to complete of the game. But to me, I think we have that have ability, have that ability, have that ability. It should be tomorrow to start a new front up. The fact that Chukwutin is not Ben Saka not there, he should tomorrow to have fresh front for Cameroon. Clinton is sitting there, a very good option. People will look at a guy like come here and say, look, why don't you start him? No, say start match with guys that can really create agility. Because guys from Mauritius have been watching most of these guys. And you know them. I think Mauritius players like me could or from agree from what they do across. But then they don't. I would love to see a guy like agree how to attack tomorrow front. I want to see a guy Kudu on the other side. I see a guy like Maha at his side, Frank Bangisa, right behind me, right behind him. When you have have that offensiveness, it takes that opportunity to get goals right from the set. You don't need to get a match kill game right on set. Just like they did, with the I've been in Kenya from Uganda. They were beating the away game to 0. Yeah. They came back here and they did fantastic. To score goals because they were able to make statement from the on, and they had the strategy. The strategy should not be we should go with just stuff. I think Rugo have magic things up.
Let's thank you award special broadcast the Cameroon at the Douala Japoma Stadium. We've had the pre-match press conference of the Indomitable Lions. We are now waiting to have that of the Dodos of Mauritius. And at any moment, we'll be having the coach of that team, Fidi Sunaivo, to come up to talk about their strategy and also receive questions from the national and international press. And we are looking to connect, to reconnecting with correspondent Evariste Eyinga and Benin Buma Ghana, who are at the Japoma Stadium. For the meantime, let's remind you or let you know of matches taking place tomorrow aside from the Cameroon-Mauritius game. We're going to have Cape Verde to take on Angola. That will be another Group D game. Morocco versus Eritrea has been cancelled because Eritrea pulled out of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Eswatini will take on Libya. It's another Group D game. So Cameroon will need to win tomorrow to stand a chance of leading Group D. Comoros will challenge Central African Republic. Guinea will take on Uganda. Liberia will host Malawi. Zambia will host Congo. Ghana, who were in the previous World Cup in Qatar, will take on Madagascar. That will be in Group I. So Ghana are looking forward to leading that group. Meanwhile, Mali will also will challenge Chad. That's another Group I encounter. Burkina Faso versus Guinea-Bissau will come up at 8 p.m. Tunisia will take on Sao Tome and Principe. Ivory Coast, the host of next year's Africa Cup of Nations, will challenge Seychelles. Just to let you know that Ivory Coast were in the previous World Cup in Qatar. They were eliminated in the race to that by Cameroon at some point. So they are in Group F. They begin their campaign against Seychelles tomorrow at home. Meanwhile, Cameroon versus Mauritius is the Group D encounter we are building up to, and that game will come up at 8 p.m. Meanwhile, on Saturday, we'll have 3 other matches to complete day 1 of the World Cup qualifiers. So South Africa will take on Benin. Niger will play Tanzania. Meanwhile, Senegal with the African champions will play South Sudan in Group B. Interesting there to look at Senegal, the African champions. They do have DR Congo, who defeated Mauritania in their first game to lead Group B with 3 points. So Sudan, Togo, Senegal, South Sudan and Mauritania in the group, that's Group D, or Group B rather, gentlemen. Now let's look at this group. Coach Mangi, Senegal, they've been very emphatic in the last 2 or 3 years on the African continent. In fact, last year was really fantastic, and also this year, because they nearly won everything on the African continent. They won the AFCON last year, won the African Nations Championship, won a couple of youth tournaments, won beach football on the continent, went to the World Cup. It wasn't really successful as we expected. But is this group going to be difficult for Senegal, the African champions? They are playing DR Congo, Sudan, Togo, South Sudan and Mauritania.
C'est vrai, le foot il est bizarre, hein, Dani. Vous pouvez avoir une période où vous dominez tout le monde et puis subitement vous vous écroulez. Donc il va falloir que Aliou Cissé, ces gamins essayent de garder le pied sur le plancher pour ne pas décevoir de nombreux supporters, parce qu'ils ont quand même dominé à tous les niveaux. Il restait seulement peut-être le championnat des vétérans pour qu'ils soient aussi champions des vétérans. Donc, je crois que c'est une équipe sénégalaise qui a de la qualité, qui a du monde. Malheureusement, il se trouve que dans leur poule, ça ne sera pas chose facile. Et je crois que c'est ce qu'il faut dire. C'est un groupe relevé, même si sur le papier, comme le disait Junior, quoi qu'on dise sur le papier, quand même, le Sénégal est la nation qui semble avoir les faveurs des pronostics pour être le représentant de cette poule en Coupe du Monde.
Junior Wassum, DR Congo winning Mauritania in their first Group B game to lead that group with 3 points. A group where we have the African champions, Senegal. Senegal engaging on Saturday against South Sudan at home. And if Senegal, they have just one mission. They need to be in the World Cup in 2026. And they have to top this group. How is it going to look like?
Not only topping the group, but you're talking about an opportunity and a vision that Sadio Mane has. He wants to finish his career at the world stage. And the World Cup 2026, I mean, is the best option for him. And I think when you hear, when you look at the teams in the group and the results in the group, it's only the beginning, Daniel. We cannot start, basically visualizing this group just from the first game. Let's wait and see what happens on the 3rd, 4th, or 5th day of play. That's when we're going to see teams start positioning themselves. And I would definitely say, that teams can always bounce back because this is like a championship. But I know for Senegal, they're capping on a very serious mission. Not only the African Nations Cup, they're in the same sphere like Cameroun, where they have the African Nations Cup coming up in a few days. And then they have to assure their position or their place for the World Cup. Now, if you're the coach, of Senegal, you want to make sure that you don't injure your players. You don't get your players injured. You don't get your players in a situation where at the African Nations Cup, you are not performing. And at the qualification of the World Cup, you are not performing because your best players are exhausted. So I think it's a championship. He's probably going to have a pause for the African Nations Cup, and he's going to resume, I believe, after the African Nations Cup. So evidently, I would say, let's wait and see what happens. 3rd, 4th day of play, then we can talk about these teams in this group. But right now, it's too early. It's true that the results that are coming in is kind of like a statement. It's kind of like, some kind of statement or some kind of positioning or reaffirmation by some of those teams. But I see it more as teams that want to showcase themselves that they're capable. They want to succeed. They want to make it happen. But at the end of the day, they know very well that the powerhouses, the big teams, is a process. When you start that race, it's not because you are speeding that you're going to be on the finish line. It's the strategy that you're going to use that's going to take you to the finish line. And I think that's what is happening with Senegal.
All right, so from one giant team to another, and we're talking about the Atlas Lions of Morocco. They are found in Group E, where they'll play Congo, Niger, Tanzania, Zambia, as well as Eritrea. Well, Eritrea are already out of the race. They pulled out. So just 5 teams will be in that group. That's Group E. Morocco had a fantastic World Cup in 2022, reached the semi-finals of that competition. They were only eliminated by the finalists, France, under a very difficult circumstance. And Morocco continued their dominance on the African continent. They were one of the first teams to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations next year in Ivory Coast. So when you look at this Group E, are they going to face any trouble? Maybe from Tanzania, Niger, Congo or Zambia?
Mais je crois que c'est une poule abordable pour le Maroc parce que le Congo, le Niger, la Zambie, la Tanzanie, je crois que c'est pas des foules de guerre, mais il faudra toujours faire très attention parce que tout est possible en football. Mais au regard de ce qu'a proposé cette équipe en Coupe du Monde, elle est rassurante. Je crois que c'est une équipe qui dégage beaucoup de sérénité. Elle semble être en confiance. Il y a le Maroc, il y a le Sénégal. Je crois que c'est 2 potentiels qualifiés pour le mondial. Mais attention, c'est à partir de la 4e journée. Comme le disait Junior, c'est un championnat, tout est possible. Bien que ces 2 équipes aient beaucoup de certitudes, il faudra faire très attention. Et c'est à partir de la 4e journée qu'on sera véritablement situé. Mais comme le disent les uns et les autres, sur le papier, le Maroc est favori dans cette poule.
Yeah,
I will not count Zambia out. Why wouldn't I count Zambia out?
Winners of the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations.
Evidently. And they want to come back to the scene. Zambia has been out of the scene for a very long time now. And they want to see this as an opportunity to come back not only to the continental scene, but also to the international scene. Now, having said that, you cannot overlook a team like Morocco. That went through to the semi-finals of the World Cup. They were 1 game away from being at the finals of the World Cup. And the world would love to see Morocco back at the World Cup in the USA, Mexico, and in Canada. This is a team that evidently propel Africa, you know, to one of the highest level of football globally. So it would be funny not to see them there. But evidently, I think they're going to make it through. They're going to pull through. If they do that, and what we want to see, they should be able to be consistent with the players. They should be able to be consistent in their selection and their competition. And then one of the worst things that always happen with the Lions of Morocco is the fact that they're not so consistent in their strategy. Right. The moment that you're expecting them the most, that's when you are disappointed. The moment that you're least expecting them to perform very well, that's when they bring you performances. But I think this championship is going to reinforce their capacity. They need to sit down as a group, reflect, and see what is the project that they want to take through to the World Cup 2026. You know, and it's very important for them to be there, because for a team that ended up in the corridors of the best teams in the world, you know, only for Africa, you know, just for the sake of Africa, they should be present. And that is why you hear some pundits around the world. You know, when you go like to Latin America, you go to Colombia, they will tell you Cameroon, Roger Milla, you know, a guy like Valderrama that played with Roger Milla, you know, that's the memory they have. Their memory of Africa is very vague, but I hope that with this World Cup, evidently, Africa is going to be consistent and have a very good presence as well.
All right, it does appear we have this signal coming from the Douala Japoma Stadium. We are looking forward to having the press conference of Mauritius. So we're looking forward to having the coach, Fidi, for that press conference. We still to have the live pictures coming from that edifice. Now, we still continue with Morocco, the semi-finalist of the World Cup. Yeah.
Before you get to Coach Mange, it's just so funny. You know, like, this is a team that gets to Cameroon. You schedule in a hotel and you moved out. You switch hours and schedule. You know, like, what is the end game? What is the game plan? Because right now, they're running behind the schedule, you know, that was prepared for them. And, you know, the hospitality of Cameroon is very important around the world. You know, what we're seeing there, actually, what we're seeing right now happening in Japoma, I love the patience of Cameroon. I love the fact that Cameroonians are daring. They want to train at 8 o'clock, even at 10 o'clock, let them have it. They want to switch hotels, let them do it, let them have it. But they have to understand something, you know, that game is going to be played tomorrow. And you better be prepared, because right now, the Lions are resting. The Lions are resting and they're ready to apply their strategy tomorrow. So what you're doing right now in a press conference that is 1 hour late, you are distracting the journalists, you are distracting the people that are very serious about the business of football. I must tell you, Cameroon is a football nation. And it's very important that when you do a logistic program, be able to adhere and respect it. Look at the hour, compare the time frame from when Rigobert Song did his press conference to the moment that the coach from Mauritius Island is doing his press conference. And the information is so consistent, because evidently we don't even know what is going to come out of it. And you know what is ironical about that? That is the way our football has been going. That's why they've been changing coaches a lot. But I hope that this evening we're going to have that press conference. He's going to say a word or two regarding the game tomorrow, so we can all go home and get the rest and have a nice football game tomorrow.
All right, certainly a long night at the Douala Japoma Stadium. Yeah, we're still waiting for the coach and his player of the Mauritian team. They're yet to have their pre-match press conference. We had that of Cameroon earlier, with Rigobert Song showing up with his captain of tomorrow, that Andre Frank Zambo Ngisa. Now, guys, from Morocco, maybe we can talk about Group I, where we have Ghana. They were in the previous World Cup. They prevented Nigeria from actually playing the finals. But Ghana haven't been really performant, especially in their friendly matches that they took last month. They are in Group I, where you have Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Madagascar, Mali. So Ghana have already qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations next year in Ivory Coast. They'll be in Group B. When you look at this group, Coach Mange, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Madagascar, Mali. Certainly, I think that Mali will give Ghana the biggest headache in this group, in Group I.
Ça c'est clair que le vrai adversaire, sans enlever du mérite aux autres, le vrai adversaire du Ghana sera le Mali. Le Mali a de la qualité, il faudra faire très attention. Même la RCA. La RCA pourrait également causer des problèmes à cette équipe ghanéenne. Je crois que c'est l'un des mondialistes qui aura fort à faire. Parce que le Mali, la RCA et éventuellement le Comore pourrait les embêter. Donc je crois que ça sera une poule où il y aura des surprises. Le Mali et le Ghana sont bien partis, mais je crois qu'ils vont aller chercher très loin leur qualification.
So Mali is going to pin down Ghana?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. That is on paper. All right, what he's talking about is basically on paper, you know, because you look at a team like Madagascar, you look at the Comoros. Madagascar could be weak in the, you know, on the age team, maybe under 19, under 20, which I think they even developed very well because we saw them on the under 19 AFCON. It was that we saw a team from Madagascar that performed very well. You know, then you look at Comoros, even the Central African Republic, it's not that bad of a team. Now, when you
the Central African Republic would have qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations next year in Ivory Coast, but they had to win a game. I think that was against Angola at the Douala Japoma Stadium. Yeah, at the Douala Japoma Stadium, but that wasn't possible in front of their president, who was there, hoping that Central African Republic will pick up that qualification. You can continue with it.
Now, coming back to your question, like I said before, I got interrupted. You know, when you look at a team like Ghana, that has been at the World Cup and has basically, you know, had some opportunities and missed out. For them, the strategy here will be to catch up. First of all, the first strategy will be to qualify and then evidently, you know, get a better job done, depending on the draw at the World Cup, depending on the teams that they might be in. Now, you come back now to a team like to Mali, like how Coach Mange was saying. Mali today, I don't think is that much of a threat like 2-3 years ago, you know, where we had quality players that had a very consistent national team and a consistent coach, you know, that was able, you know, to constitute a group, you know, that could defend the colors of Mali. So that group is a very open group. It's a wide open group. But at the same time, you have teams in there like Ghana that should not sit on their belt and say, okay, look, you know, we already qualified based on what they're saying in the group. I think they need to work extremely hard. And Ghana needs to be consistent. These are teams that if you do a draw, a team like Chad could punish you. If you joke, look at a game like maybe Chad against Comoros. A capital game where if one win or one loses, it qualifies maybe Ghana. You don't want to be in that situation because these teams are the teams that will surprise you on the 4th or 5th day of the championship, and maybe those are the last game that will qualify you to the World Cup, and they start looking at your fate. So for Ghana, start early. Start early. Make sure that you come into this group, make a statement, get your clean points, get your clean sheets, and then evidently focus on the African Nations Cup and get things going.
So Ghana will have to start that tomorrow when they face Madagascar at 5 p.m. That will be at home. It will be their first engagement in Group I of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That's what's keeping us here. Looking forward to Mauritius's press conference in a moment. Fidi Rasunaivo and his boys. Can we have them at the Douala Japoma Stadium? But for now, let's look back at Mauritius Island. Their first and last ever Africa Cup of Nations participation was in 1974. They've never been to the World Cup. They've met Cameroun 4 times, and Cameroun have bashed them in all of those meetings. The last being a 5-0 bashing in 2011 in the lead up to the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations. Larai Salamatu comes back presenting Mauritius Island.
The players making their way to the pitch then. We're just minutes away then. It's Mauritius.
Classé 177e au ranking FIFA, l'île Maurice fait partie de ce qu'on peut appeler les petites nations de football. Son palmarès est vide, 0 phase finale de Coupe du Monde. L'île Maurice a disputé une seule phase finale de Coupe d'Afrique. C'était en 1974, sorti au premier tour. Et depuis, plus rien. Les dodos, comme on les surnomme, ne font pas le poids sur la scène continentale.
De bien le placer, c'est dedans. Kevin PATYCHOU, pour plus peut-être Maurice.
Quelques succès cependant au niveau zonal. Troisième de la Coupe de l'Océan Indien en 1981, la sélection de Maurice échoue lors du tour préliminaire de la CAN 2019 face aux Comores, composée pour la plupart des joueurs évoluant dans le championnat local. L'équipe entraînée par le coach malgache Fidi Rosa Naivo ne fera pas le poids face aux Lions indomptables ce vendredi. Attention tout de même, les coéquipiers du capitaine Lindsay Rose peuvent surprendre.
So we're still waiting for Mauritius's pre-match press conference at the Douala Japoma Stadium as coach Fidi Rasaunaivo is upbeat about taking on Cameroun. They've met Cameroun that's 4 times and lost in all the 4 occasions.
Lindsay Rose, who plays professional football in Legia, Warsaw in Poland. He was born on February 8, 1992 and has featured 10 times with the national colours. In the midfield comes Adel Lange of CA Vitry in France. Observers of Mauritian football hold that he is at the center of the offensive strategy of coach Fidi Rasaunaivo. Aged 26, Adel Lange has been invited 35 times in the ranks of the Dodos. Still in the midfield component of the Dodos, there is Jeremy Villeneuve, born on April 25, 1994, plays professional football with French side Critères Lusitanos and has been called up for the national team of the Mauritius Island 17 times. These players join the rest of the 22 brought to Cameroon by coach Fidi Rasaunaivo to begin the search for a ticket to the USA, Canada and Mexico for the World Cup 2026.
And there's the goal. It's only taken them 5.
Just to remind you that Mauritius had their last game in July in the COSAFA Cup and they lost to Mozambique 1-0. Meanwhile, Cameroon played 2 friendlies in October. They lost to Russia 1-0 and also lost to Senegal 1-0. You're still on to CLTV Sports and Entertainment in this special broadcast building up to Cameroon versus Mauritius Island tomorrow. We are waiting to have the pre-match press conference of Mauritius Island that will come up at any moment from now. For now, we're going to take a musical interlude. Just stay with us.